souls, and welcome to Sacredly Sassy Unfiltered, where we cut through the spiritual BS and talk about all the things no one else in the psychic world really wants to talk about. So, today we're diving into something I see happening all over TikTok and YouTube: psychics and mediums reviewing missing person cold cases publicly. Now, it sounds fascinating, I know, right? But here's the thing: it's not only ethically questionable, it could actually compromise investigations and cause harm to the families. And that's my big what do you call it? Trigger, essentially, for a really, really long time. Having been a mediumship coach for 20 years or more, it really is something that sort of um, triggers me and gets me going because of the harm that can be caused. And I know just in recent days I've come across a really well known medium coming to Australia and promoting um, for ticket sales that they're going to delve into cold cases. Yes, they've said that they're going to talk to police if they can. However, they're still going to divulge all cold case information. And I get concerned for two reasons. One, is this going to affect the integrity of any evidence, especially if those cases are still recent in terms of being investigated if it's an open case? Yes, it might have been 10 years ago, but some of those cases are still open and being actively investigated. Secondly, I always question about whether they have permission from the families that are involved. This can re-traumatize families, and many of the families are not even okay with psychics. So when we then just sort of step in without permission, it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. And I want to know your thoughts. I want to know, have you, hit me up in the comments if this is something that you're coming across in TikTok. And let me know. I want to say hi for those of you that are commenting, and let me know, because I know I'm seeing a plethora of it across TikTok land. And it doesn't sit well with me at all. We don't have permission. And to be using it for marketing purposes, to be using it to increase a medium's profile is not okay. It's not okay, you know. So I think the whole thing is, sharing details of that nature of cold cases can spread misinformation. As I said, it can impact any case that might be ongoing. And there is a big difference between being asked to work in those sort of cases by law enforcement, which I'm pretty sure that there would be some level of confidentiality needed, to going off your own back and divulging that information, whether it's live on TikTok, whether it's at events, conferences, all of that. Yes, there is interest, but sometimes when we work with spirit, it's about being of service and being of service to that family, as opposed to wanting your clickbait, your clicks, your popularity to grow. And for me, working with spirit and offering information has always come with a level of privacy. I expect that for myself. I'm not okay with people reading me without permission. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with even in being in a mediumship event or here online. I'm not okay with someone just sending me a message, an unsolicited message. Um, yeah, I've got my peppermint tea here, so wanting this to be a really sort of, informal chat. And, mediumship certainly requires consent, compassion, and responsibility. And that consent actually comes from um, having permission and being given permission. So when someone does come and um, consent via booking a reading, and by showing up in that way, that's giving consent by having the chat. But when you're just, here on TikTok or doing a live video or doing an event that you're selling tickets at, and the premise is the fact that you are divulging into missing person cases and you are delving into cold cases and seeing what's up, know that it comes with responsibility doing that. Knows that you can cause trauma to the family by that being out there in the public arena of what you're offering without their permission. Know that it can have impacts on um, the cases and the evidence. And yes, what you say might be 100% correct and it may help in some way. But if it is going to help, then you don't actually care, or you shouldn't care. And it doesn't need to happen in regards to, it doesn't need to be out there publicly for you to help, right? It can just be given to the police, and if it happens, it happens. It's a wonderful thing that you've contributed to solving a missing person case or a cold case, but it doesn't need you to have that recognition associated with it. So tell me in the chat, what are your thoughts? Do you think psychics should share cold case information publicly and unsolicited at that? Or should that information really only be going to family and investigators? I'd love to know what your thoughts are. And, if one of the biggest truths that Spirit has ever taught me is this, that just because we can doesn't mean you should. Just because we can read someone, just because we can psychically receive information and we can delve into wherever, doesn't mean we always have the right. And it doesn't mean that we should. I work and have for a really long time with a level of privacy. So even if someone's coming to me for a reading and they're asking me to um, read their boyfriend, read their boss at work, read or connect in with someone in their life because they want to know what's going on. Even for me, I'm limited in what I can do because that person has not given permission. Because that's just how I operate. And certainly when I am out in the public arena, out doing my shopping, out doing at a party or whatever it might be, that level of privacy comes into play always. Because unless I have been given permission, I'm not going to go there even though I can. And I think of all the areas that level of privacy has the biggest where the greatest respect for that privacy should be, it's in these cases. It's in these cases where family have lost someone, where they are missing or they have been murdered. And we as mediums really need to respect that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them with me. And by all means, if you want, um, hit the like, hit the follow and subscribe to stay in tune for our next Sacredly Sassy Unfiltered chat.